With the Quality of Life Initiative officially underway and the content lull in full effect, there's no better time than the present to shine some light on some of the FOG's most underrated survivor perks. The criteria? Excluding the top 50 most used perks on Nightlight. While I admit it isn't perfect, it's also the best we've got since behavior stats are outdated. Anyways, let's kick things off with my favorite perk to talk about because how it's working right now just may have been the vision all along. Bardic Inspiration puts on the show the FOG has been dying for, while also granting bonus progress to every successful skill check. Press E to roll a dice before pulling a guitar out of your ass and rocking out for up to 15 seconds. While plucking away, reveal your aura to all survivors across the entire map. Anybody within 16 meters of you during and upon finishing the 15 seconds performance will receive a skill check buff for 90 seconds. This action can be cancelled at any time simply by moving, and cancelling the performance cancels the buff. The actual number of the buff applied to your skill checks depends on what the dice roll ended up being. It takes 5 seconds to reveal the roll's result, even though the percentage buff is applied from the moment of activation. Despite the dice roll having 20 different outcomes, there are only 4 different results. Rolling a 1 will cause you to scream. Rolls 2 through 10 give you a 1% progression bonus to all skill checks. Rolls 11 to 19 grant 2%, and rolling a 20 grants 3. It's great because it not only saves you precious time in healing and repairing, but can also be used to locate teammates by bringing them to you. Nobody likes missing a show, so rest assured a free concert is always on everyone's bucket list. The only issue that still remains with this perk is the scream happening before rolling a 1 is revealed. It's been like this ever since the change which delayed revealing the roll by 5 seconds, which was a great change in my opinion, so it's odd that this still persists because it definitely doesn't feel intentional. It also makes you invisible while playing the guitar, but only sometimes. Rest assured our best people are working night and day to figure this out, but decoding Snug Sparks has been proving difficult. Speaking of proving difficult, this next perk has that in common, except this time it came from not being able to decide what its damn name was. Second Wind is a healing perk that is charged by fully healing a teammate and activates when you are unhooked. You become broken for 20 seconds, and so long as you don't get injured in that time, you will heal automatically and the perk will deactivate. Being able to work on generators or loop the killer while healing automatically is an incredibly efficient effect for your team and allows you to keep the pressure on the killer. It isn't a conspicuous action either, and also works while unhooking yourself, meaning you could pair it with Wicked and unhook yourself from the basement, then heal automatically 20 seconds later, all without deactivating your Decisive Strike. When Steve was removed from stores, along with the rest of the Stranger Things content, and all the perks were made free, this was the only one of Steve's perks that had any relevance. But fast forward to now, and he unironically has pretty great perks. Camaraderie is solid, and just a small buff that shows it to your teammates away from being great, which we know is on the way, while Babysitter has gotten so good that we're gonna talk about it next. Babysitter activates when unhooking a teammate. Hide their scratch marks and pools of blood, while also giving them 10% haste, all for 30 seconds. And the killer's aura is revealed to you for 8 seconds. This gives you the necessary information to heal if you can or run if you need to, all while fitting into the flow of a trial seamlessly. If the killer does try to tunnel that person out, the next 30 seconds of it are gonna be miserable, as 10% is no joke. Like, seriously, look at this shit. And if you have off the record, forget about it. Staying on the topic of helping out the team, let's talk about what is probably my favorite perk in the game right now: Solidarity. While you're injured and not using a medkit, passively convert 70% of all healing progress made onto a teammate into healing for yourself. Then, your teammate can quickly finish the heal up afterwards. If for any reason you're able to heal more than an entire health state on a teammate, it's possible to passively heal yourself solely off of this conversion. It saves 10 seconds every time you use it, which adds up quickly over the course of a trial, and also bypasses slowdown effects like Mangled. It has unique synergy with Babysitter because it lowers the risk of going for unhooks while injured. The aura reading Babysitter gives you while unhooking allows you to make a decision on whether healing under hook will be safe or not. You're either going to heal and use Solidarity, or not heal and let the unhooked survivor use Babysitter. Anything that gives you the necessary information to make smart decisions on the fly is always going to be very valuable, so keep that in mind as we talk about our next perk. Any Means Necessary allows you not only to see the auras of dropped pallets, but pick them back up as well. Being able to extend the life of your precious resources is very useful, but it's the aura reading that puts it over the top for me. The biggest killer to good survivors in solo queue is not knowing which pallets have already been used. So being able to see which pallets are used, the moment they're used, where they're used, anywhere across the map is a consistently great effect that remains underrated for reasons I will never understand. Also, you can pick up trapped pallets, which I don't know, I felt like mentioning. It makes me laugh. So let's stay on the topic of auras though, because this next perk has that, plus a little more up its sleeve. Lucky Star silences your grunts of pain when you enter a locker. Upon exiting it, your grunts of pain as well as your scratch marks are hidden. You are shown the aura of the closest generator and other survivors, all for 30 seconds. Before Iron Will was buffed back to its full glory, Lucky Star was a lot more useful. But Iron Will's back in the game, so Behavior went ahead and buffed it to compensate. Pair it with something like Quick and Quiet, and you'll be disappearing mid-chase so often the killer will think you're cheating. And once the killer's gone, you're free to move to the closest teammate while being nearly untrackable. Maybe you're in no danger whatsoever and just need to find the nearest generator. There's lots to like about its versatility. Even something simple like red herring to make a loud noise at a generator nearby while escaping into a locker could be exactly what the doctor ordered for curing your seasonal depression. Now, these next two are both decent perks, but it's when you use them together that they truly shine. Residual Manifest guarantees a yellow flashlight from your first successful chest rummage while also applying the blindness status effect following every successful blinding event. This means the killer won't be able to see their generator or hooked auras for the next 30 seconds, which can be extremely helpful if they don't notice it right away. It also works with flashbangs, making it far more versatile than you'd expect. Beyond that, it also counters Lightborn. Technically. No killer's gonna bring Lightborn to a trial if nobody's holding flashlights around the campfire. So by getting your beamer from a box instead, you're not giving the killer any tells of the frustration they're about to face. Keep thinking about that while we talk about this next perk. Exaltation replenishes 25% of your item's total stacks and upgrades its rarity every time you stun the killer with a pallet. Now you can turn those crappy brown items into powerful greens, purples, or even pinks on top of making them last forever. What's that? Your yellow beamers aren't bright enough? Well, now they're purple blinkers, making your enemies see stars. It also extends to all other items as well, but flashlights have far less perks associated with them compared to healing and repairing. Dramaturgy is something I usually pair with it because I like building up my item stockpile while also being buffed slightly in the sense that the worst possible item you can get from Drama, a green key, is no longer useless because it can be upgraded. Only 2 left, which means we are officially at the best of the best underrated perks the Fog has to offer. Reassurance allows you to pause the hook timer of a teammate for 30 seconds once you are within 6 meters of the hook. You can use it once per teammate per health state, or 6 times in total. If you've seen my video on Shoulder the Burden, you already know how important it is to keep the game a 4 versus 1 for as long as possible. This perk will help you do that better than anything except Shoulder itself. And hey, if you play in a duo, these two might be the best 1-2 punch perk combo in the whole game. It also works after endgame collapse has begun, meaning the window for post-gate open saves can be widened greatly. My favorite way to use it is by getting the killer's attention after a teammate gets hooked, then looping them back near the hook, pausing the timer, and then leading them away and letting a different teammate come in for a safe unhook. It ensures you get more uses per game and is a great way for stopping those pesky survivors who try to give up and go next. Simply pause their timer and they won't be given any skill checks to miss for the next 30 seconds. Who knows? Maybe by then they'll have changed out of their loaded diapers and be ready to play again. We've come this far, so before the finale, let's throw in some honorable mentions. One perk that I laid this video specifically to test out was Medal of Man. This perk seems to have a skill requirement, similar to Dramaturgy, meaning it's going to take a long time using this perk and experimenting with combos before you can unlock its full potential. It could maybe be something I look into for a video in the future, but for now it's just a theory. Reactive Healing was a perk I considered as it was released during my hiatus from the game and I'd never really tried it out before, all while sounding like situationally it could have the potential to be really strong. But after using it for a handful of games, I don't see it being consistent enough, which is what ultimately kept it off this list. Blood Rush is a perk that shocked me when I saw it near the bottom of the list of usability. Maybe not enough people are trying to use it since the rework, which is puzzling because it offers a very strong anti-tunnel effect. Maybe people are just starting to move away from exhaustion perks altogether. I don't know, I just work here. Plot Twist and Scene Partner. One of these was in the top 50 at the time of recording, but both of them have their own videos coming later this year, so I didn't feel like covering them here. Besides, I think everyone's starting to catch on to just how nuts Nick's perks are. And as for which one of them was in the top 50, if you guessed Plot Twist like me, you'd have gotten it wrong, because it's Scene Partner. My fellow Steagles and I carrying that one better than Charlotte carries Victor. Like, seriously, stop letting go of that little shit. It cannot be that difficult. Alright, as promised, I saved the very best for last. This is the perk which I feel is currently the most underrated in all of Dead by Daylight, due to just how strong the effect it offers is, while simultaneously keeping you out of harm's way. Boon Exponential. allows everybody in its 24-meter radius to pick themselves up off the ground without the help of a teammate. Slugging has been only getting more and more popular over the last year, and I'm sure we all know how miserable it is to lay on the ground for 4 minutes completely helpless. So I speak for all survivors when I say the gamers that only play S tiers and never pick up anyone after downing them deserve to lose. This perk will not only help you do that, but it'll be the dagger you drive through their greedy, shriveled hearts. Activating your Boon early on in the trial and guiding your teammates to it is a key to success. You're also able to relocate it to other totems later in the trial in much more useful locations should you need to, which is why I often pair it with Detective's Hunch. It's actually what I used to counter Hex Thrill the Hunt when it was overtuned a few months back. Good survivors should never be getting 4-man slugged, but everybody makes mistakes, and in solo queue the lack of communication makes it an ever-present threat. Having Boon Exponential in your build is like having a safety net under a trapeze artist. You hope you don't need it, but everybody will be glad you had it. Anyways, everybody, that's my list. I think if I was to redo this, I'd like to set the cutoff to X amount of weeks outside the top 50. Since I recorded this, multiple perks on this list have moved up and down and therefore would no longer qualify or would qualify. So if that's something you would all be interested in, or if there's just any perks you think I should have mentioned, be sure to let me know down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to take care out there in the fog.